Hey everybody, it's My Day Monday, and I'm here with Pastor Felix, right here at Elevate Life Church. He's gonna share his testimony today. I'm excited to hear it. He's a really good guy. He's a sweetheart, but I know there's something behind that smile. He's about to expose the enemy and bring God's glory into it. So be blessed and share somebody with this video. Are you ready?
Yep. All right, cool. What is up, everyone? Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Yes, I'm Pastor Felix. You can call me Felix. I like to be related and connect with people. And so a lot of times I don't even share that I'm a pastor. I would just introduce myself. But, I count it as an honor and a privilege just to take this time to share with you a little bit about who I am. And I know a lot of times people, they see me on a Sunday, and just because they see me as a pastor, they don't realize that, pastors, we have our own story though too as well. And I think that my story is unique to the point of all my life. I mean, I was raised in the church. And what I mean by that is that my grandfather's a pastor. My grandmother, she has a strong calling on her life. From the time I was a baby boy, I was in the church, you know what I mean? And then my dad was an assistant pastor and then became a lead pastor soon thereafter. So all my life, I was raised in the church. But just like many of us, just because I went to church and just because I served in the church and just because I went to church every single week doesn't mean that I had a relationship with God. Matter of fact, maybe you've heard some stories of some PKs, maybe if you growed up in church, that terminology, pastor's kid. And sometimes we can be quote unquote labeled, and I'm not saying this is for all pastor's kid, but it was somewhat true for me, but we can be labeled as the be careful, the pastor's kid. They're sometimes the ones that cause the most trouble and the most mischief. And you know what? I can't say that was me at an early stage of life, because I did enjoy going to church, and I did enjoy serving at my church, and I learned so many things from my earlier childhood, being within the church and being surrounded by so many strong spiritual leaders in my life. But as I got older in life, and your flesh starts to battle with the spirit, and I struggled in many areas of my life, because where I was at a place where sometimes many teenagers at that age, they find the difficulty because you want to be accepted by people, you want to blend in with everyone, but at the same time, when you realize that you have a calling on your life, you're not called to blend in. You're not called just to look like everyone else. But I struggled with that, because I just wanted to fit in with everyone. I wanted everyone didn't see me as the pastor's kid. Because as soon as they found out that maybe I was acting a little crazy, they say, "Ain't your dad a pastor?" And I just wanted to be like, "Oh man, like too." But there was something that you can't escape, and I believe that you can never really escape the calling that God has on your life. And I don't say this because everything went perfect. Absolutely, I had my slip ups and my downfalls in life. As a matter of fact, it came to a point in my life where I didn't want to go to church anymore. I didn't want a relationship with Jesus. I wanted to do things my way. I truly did. And I would even have conversations with my father. I remember them to this day. And my dad would just plead with me and say, "Son, listen, don't make these mistakes. You don't have to do the same things that me and your mother did to learn just to be back in the place where we know we need to be at." And I told my dad, I want to learn. I want to make the mistakes myself. And at the time, looking back, that sounds so idiotic, but sure enough, I began to speak those things in my life, and saying that I wanted to have my freedom. I didn't want the confinements of being forced to go to church every Sunday. Can I just stay home? So I played football all my life, and so there came an opportunity to where I got a scholarship to play Division II ball at a school up in Northern California, not knowing that this would change the very trajectory of everything of my life. And so I went up there, and I believed what I had believed at the time was I finally was going to get my freedom. I finally was going to be able to stay out late. I was going to finally be able to go to parties and not have to worry about how I came home, how I smelled like when I came home. And I was okay with that. I was going to have my own space. I didn't have to share a room with my brothers and my sisters. It was just going to be just me to my lonesome, me to myself. But that same freedom that I longed for, I became a slave to sin. I became a slave to addiction. I became a slave to pleasing people, to acceptance. I became a slave to lust. And there were just so many things in my life that I really battled with when I was in college, and it was a difficult time for my life. Now, going on, it wasn't bad when I first started. I was playing football and things were going great, but when I was done playing football, I had some time still up in Northern California, and I would say that I loved the environment, I loved the culture up there, but there were a lot of things that were toxic to me as a young man. And I learned and I grew as an individual. I'm thankful for every opportunity in life. I'm even thankful for the mistakes that I made and the failures that I made because they helped me to get to the place that I'm in right now. But I got wrapped up into a bunch of other things, stuff that I wish I didn't have to go down that path, but I did. And so whether it was cocaine addiction, whether it was marijuana addiction, addicted to just being with different ladies, there was all kinds of addiction that I had in my life that I was really, when I look back at it, I was really just escaping the calling that God had on my life. I was trying to get everything out of that ability from being, quote unquote, you're going to be a pastor just like your dad. And I said, you know what, I'm going to take this into my own hands. But when I didn't have football anymore, I felt like I didn't have purpose anymore. I didn't have nothing to look forward to. So what I did was I started getting involved in so many other things and hanging around people that I just wanted them to accept me. And whether that caused me to, let's get high, let's get drunk together, let's do whatever together. That's what I did. And I remember I had a very real conversation with one of my friends because I was in a relationship for a period of time, and that relationship didn't end too well. And I was in this deep depression for so long. And I realized that God had removed that particular person out of my life, but I couldn't see it at the time. And so I remember I was in this deep funk of just different things, and I didn't want to come out of my room. I was singing sad songs. I was, crying at every moment, just being in my room with the lights off. I didn't want to talk to anybody. And my boy that I play football with, he said, "Man, what's wrong with you, dude?" He's like, "This ain't the same Bobo that I know." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm just, I'll be fine." And he was like, "Dude, you need to go back to playing football, man. That's when you was at your best." And though he didn't realize what he was doing, he was kind of putting me in a place where I need to be at right to have my encounter with God. And I remember he helped me to get overseas and go play football over in Germany. And I said, "Man, this is it. Like, you know what? This is what I've been searching for my whole entire life." Not only did I have the kind of freedom, I didn't have to, I didn't have no confinements. Playing football was my job, so I didn't have too much to do. But it was amazing that though I went over there for one reason, to get away from this relationship, to get away from some of the mess that I had been dealing with, I actually came face to face with my Heavenly Father. And I remember being around some of my teammates, and we were out drinking and socializing. And I remember sitting here, and it was just like a very surreal moment. And as we were sitting there and we were just all laughing and joking, I heard it just quicken in my spirit. It was like, "Is this what you want out of your life?" And I was just like, what in my head, I was like, "What? Is this what I want out of my life?" To say, "Is this what you want?" Because like, you can have this, but what I have for you is so much more. And I was like, wow. Now, I would like to tell you that from that point on, I got my life together and I was back on the straight and narrow. But that's not what happened. Little by little, things started to change. I started to lose my taste for certain things, for drugs, for alcohol. I started to lose my taste for things until eventually I came back home. And I remember I started serving again in my father's church, and I began to find this new passion for the things of God. And there I rededicated my life back to God. And I said, "God, I know that you the one that created me." And this is what I always say when I'm speaking, when I'm ministering, because God is the one that's created us. He knows what he's created us for. And so in order for us to discover that purpose in life, we have to go back to the Father. And that's what I did. I went back to the Father and I said, "Lord, sometimes I think I know what I need to do, but you're the one that created me. So I know you have the plans for my life." And so what I did was I resurrendered my life back to God. Even though I don't think I had fully ever surrendered my life to God, if I didn't know, then I knew now, because I rededicated my life back to God, and I got baptized again. And I said, "I want to just follow you all the days of my life." And I just want to tell you, from that point on, not everything was perfect. But I can tell you this, there's never been a moment where I had looked back and said, "Oh, it was so much better then," because I know that the plans that God has for me are so far greater than what I can think or imagine. And just because of that commitment, God has used me further than my wildest dreams. And just being here at my church, at Elevate Life Church, I've been blessed tremendously by our pastors and our leaders that are here. They're constantly always pouring into me and are always encouraging me and letting me know that what I am saying, that is resonating with their spirits. And I'm thankful for that. But I also look back and say, what if I would have chosen to say, "Yeah, this is the life that I want to live. Europe, I'm over here backpacking in a different city every single time." And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. But I would have missed out on the more that God had for me. So maybe you're in a place and maybe you're struggling and maybe things are going good right now, but I want to tell you that as good as they're going, God has so much more for you. That though you think that you know exactly what you want, only God knows the plans that He has for you. And in order for us to discover what those plans are, we have to be in connection with Him. So I want to challenge you. Matter of fact, I want to encourage you. Take that step of faith. Don't ignore that knock anymore. Listen, God has a plan, a purpose for your life. Yes, I know we've made mistakes. I've made mistakes. Number one, and I still make mistakes to this day. But one thing that I do know, that I know that my purpose is greater than my mistakes. And I'm going to continue trusting Him no matter what. I'm going to continue putting Him at the center of everything that I do. Why? Because I know that this is the best and wisest decision that I could possibly have made in my life. I encourage you to make that decision. Thank you guys for your time. I love you guys. And even though I never met you guys, so some of you guys, I want you to know that I'm praying for you and I'm believing God's best for you. You guys have a great day and happy Monday.